We have a saying in real estate: the fear of loss is a greater motivator than the opportunity to gain. It's basically built on the concept of the urgency clause. And what it's really saying to somebody, if you don't act now, you're going to miss out on this opportunity. And it can be used both on the sale side or the seller's side or the buyer's side of the transaction. Let me give you a real life example. Let's pretend you're out Saturday showing houses to a qualified prospect and you are standing in the perfect house for them. Price range, location, checks all the boxes. Absolutely perfect. And what does the buyer do? They should be pulling the trigger on this, and they do the I want to think about it for the weekend. Now, you may not even realize you're applying the urgency clause because you know if they wait till Monday, this property is not going to be available. So naturally, you say to them, hey, listen, based on my experience, looking at the price, looking at the location, I can tell you if we wait till Monday, this will be gone. See, that's called the urgency clause. If they don't act now, they're going to lose the house they want. And that's human nature. I mean, if there was 10 of those houses available and they could take their time, yes, they would still buy one. They just might not buy it today. But if you want them to buy it today, there's got to be a reason. There's got to be urgency. There's got to be a reason for them to do this now. So we work on the fear of loss. Let's pretend you were sitting with a seller who's going to be selling and buying, and one of the, in the presentation, they say to you, I think we're going to wait. Now, what if they were to wait? Could something affect the outcome of the situation? The answer is sure. What if interest rates went up? That's like an easy go-to one. If rates went up even 1%, it would have a significant impact, not just on a monthly basis, but on an annual basis. But think about what that would cost in terms of a 30-year mortgage, for instance, and what kind of impact that would have. So yeah, if they wait, it does have a negative effect. And I can tell you that more than once in my real estate career, people said we should have. And yes, they should have. And I should have been more persuasive as a salesperson to get them to do that. So, the fear of loss will get people, if you point out the benefits, they'll get excited. Take it away or create urgency that they might miss out on an opportunity, and they will execute right now on it. Now, of course, this needs to be applied from a realistic perspective, and you have to be honest with people. But for instance, what if somebody said, well, how could I lose money if I waited? And I think the go-to one right off the bat is interest rates. What happens if rates went up a quarter point, a half a point, or a 1% jump? What kind of impact would that have? But I think it's also fair to say to people, not just interest rates, but is it possible for home values to go down, meaning theirs? Yes, it's possible for homes to go down in value. I know for a number of years, you probably haven't seen that, but after 40 years in the real estate business, at least on 4 separate occasions, we've had a recession where house prices retreated backwards. So is it possible next year something could happen in the economy that we don't know about right now that could have a negative impact? Unemployment rate go up, people would be less likely to qualify for mortgages, supply would increase, days on the market would increase, and then house prices start to go down. So is it possible? The answer is yes. Is it possible new homes might cost more? Well, we're going to sell our house, but we're going to wait till next year. We want to buy a new house over in Umpty-Ump subdivision. Oh, that's a nice subdivision, but by waiting, there's a good chance house prices there will be worth more next year. Why is that possible? Well, when was the last time you've seen an electrician go backwards in pay? When was the last time you've seen a plumber's pay go down, or a bricklayer, block layer? When was the last time you saw a 2x4 go down in price? It doesn't happen. It usually goes up. So the longer they wait, the more expensive the buy could be in terms of their next purchase. Is it possible the market could become saturated? Like I said, I've been through 4 recessions, and I've seen times when the market had so much real estate we were choking on it. And then, of course, we've been in boom markets where there isn't enough real estate to sell for the amount of buyers we have. So the market's always fluid and it's always moving. The law of supply and demand. As I said to you, if demand goes down, supply goes up. If supply goes up, price comes down. All is tied and tangled together. So what can you guarantee them right now? The price of their house right now and what they're going to pay for their next property. Who knows what the future has in store? I've had people say to me, listen, I don't need to sell my house to buy the next house. And I don't think people really realize the cost of owning 2 homes. You've got double insurance payments. And by the way, some insurance policies would be invalidated if somebody isn't living in the house. You can't leave a house empty. So, you're going to have to get a special rider. You got to call the insurance company and let them know, I own this house, but it's going to be empty. Nobody's going to be living in it. And don't be surprised if you're up north in the wintertime and they want you to winterize that house. Drain all the pipes, put antifreeze in the stuff, and then you got to check it and you got to get the driveways cleaned in the wintertime because if there's a fire, the truck's got to get in. And I can go on and on. Double property tax. boxes. And listen, an empty house never shows the same way a house does that's furnished and somebody's living in it. So all of this can have an effect on price. Quite honestly, if you're going to sell, let's put yours on the market. Let's get the best price we can. And if you're going to buy, let's capture the best property out there at the best price so you guys are excited about the move. Renovations. How many times have I had somebody say to me, you know what, we're going to sell the house, but we're going to fix it up first. You as a sales professional need to ask, what are you talking about fixing up? I mean, if they're going to put a lick of paint on something, okay, that's one thing. But if you're talking about renovations, let me tell you about my experience with renovations. They always cost more than what I expected, and they always take longer than what I scheduled. So in the end, sometimes the renovations we do to get a house ready to sell ended up costing us more. You know, we planned on spending 10 on the kitchen and we were going to get 20 more for the house. Well, we spent 15 on the kitchen and we only got 12 more for the house. That didn't work out. The other thing that happens when we renovate a house, we assume that the buyers will like what we like. I think if you're absolutely determined you want to do something, give somebody a renovation abatement or a decorating allowance to make some adjustments when they move in. And you can, look at it like a way of assisting the buyer when they take over the property to make your property more attractive. So there are other ways to accomplish this, but my suggestion is don't renovate, because if you've ever renovated an old house, you'll know that once you start, one project leads you into another, and the next thing you know, this thing cost a lot more than what you planned on. Leave it alone. Just sell it the way it is. Is it possible we could see an economic downturn? Well, our economy is very fluid. There's all kinds of things that will affect our economy. And when our economy is affected, our housing is affected. The price of our housing is affected by the number of buyers that are in the market and the number of sellers. And all of that has to do with, are people working right now or are they not? So this all plays into the housing game. Elections. So if you've got an election coming up, often people will postpone putting their home on the market, making a move, until they find out who's going to be in charge and what do the new policies look like. So if you've got an election on the horizon, you may want to say to a seller, we've got elections in November. Right now it's June. We still have enough time to get your home on the market before the world comes to terms with the fact we will be in full election mode, and our attention will be turned in that direction. So be thoughtful about elections and how they fall into your calendar and what your clients are trying to do. And you will also find that you're talking to somebody, they're thinking about listing their home, but they're a little bit hesitant to do it today. They're not going to be taking possession of their new house that they've already bought, new home construction, but they're not going to be taking possession for another 90 days. So they didn't think they had to put their home on the market yet for another month. The truth of the matter is, if you have more time, it's better in a situation like that, because we can let the world know the property's for sale through syndication of a lot of our marketing on different websites. And that means we're going to have more people looking at the property, which means more people interested in the property, which means ultimately at the end of the day, they could get more money for their house if we have enough time to let the world know it's for sale.